Well, hello there, everybody. Yeah, jamming out to a little bit of Asia. Love my Steely Dan. I'll tell you what, just my opinion. I think one of the best duos. Really dug their music. I hope you do too. So it is Wednesday, is it not? Let's see. Well, if you're here, obviously you didn't have the right ticket. So I'm glad that you're still on board here. We love you. And hey, it's always better when there's more than one, isn't there? So anyway, hopefully they'll have another date. They will. Trust me. There was a number of them when I was in that group. So welcome. Glad to have you here. Speaking favor over us all. Nothing missing, nothing broken. And as we like to say now, above everything else, be kind to your mind. Anyway, so hello, chat room. What's up? Good to see y'all. This is an active chat room. I don't know what other channels look like. You know, we have a small little cozy community, but it's active. So Emperor Rex, thank you on the um outer limits. Yeah. I did kind of say it, huh? Deborah, how are you? Waking up there, my dear. L, and is that Bragando? Did I say that right? Thank you. I don't know why the messages were retreated, but they were kind. I liked them. Rick, how you doing, brother? Good to see you. Loretta, Dave, what's up? Who else is there? Colleen, Joyce, Jackie. Mary Wins, hello, my darling. Stephanie Marie, good to see you. Dr. Hugh, welcome. Good to see you as well. So, um, I'm just reading some of the comments. Welcome. Is that Simple DP from Portugal? Welcome, my friend. Favor be with you this day. Favor be with you every day. Yeah, that's the way it works. So, anyway, we're all distill. Hello, Nina. Check out Nina's been kind enough to put the merchandise. I think it's the hip thing now to say merch, but yeah, right. Um, so check it out. Good stuff, good design, quality material, and you will be seeing it on MWA pretty soon. So there you go. My wife bought me these Cowie shells. I don't know how many of you know what Cowie shells are, but since we're talking about intelligent people believing in such nonsensical superstitions, well, we're going to have fun with this one today. Trust me. Cowie shells were at one time used as money because of their unique shapes, but they've also been used in rituals, religious, otherwise. And in my youth, yeah, I was really into surfing, and I wore for the longest time a puka shell necklace until one day the string broke, and there went all my puka shells. Yeah. But as a surfer, it was something that we always enjoyed doing. So Operation Crossroads, good to see you. Used as money for divination. There you go. You get the gold star. Yes. If you're into Fortuna, beautiful goddess that she is, Lilith, I dig Lilith. A lot of people say, how can you say that? I say, you ought to hang out in this group. We have a whole different um, outlook on her. But anyway, yeah, this is what it was used for. So, yeah. Got that magic thing going. That's all I got to say. Yes, Goddess Sabina said they represent the goddess. They absolutely do. So we not only talk it, teach it, we walk it. So and it feels good. It's not like breaking in a new pair of shoes. It's just you put them on and it's comfortable. Mark, how are you down there in Brazil, my friend? Good to see you. Chris, thank you. Looking like the dude. I always think of the Big Lebowski on that. If you've never seen that movie, I swear it is one of the. He's the dude, man. You know, the dude. Ah, I mean, that is a good movie. It is. It truly is. So anyway, that's all we got to say about that. Hey, Lost in Space, how you doing? You know, he's the dude. You know, the dude. Cheers, everyone. See, John gets it. The dude abides. I mean, what can you say? Now, with all equal thing, the dudettes, there is a dudette, absolutely. Um, they said he met Lilith in the bar last week. Well, I wouldn't be surprised. She's a gal that knows how to have a good time. Nothing wrong with that at all. Embrace her. That's what I say. Otherwise, what the heck, right? Okay. So we're going to be talking about superstition. How intelligent people, as I wrote, I thought it was a very good in the description section. And it's probably worthwhile just to see what it says. I like this. It says that Homo sapiens are supposedly highly intelligent species with advanced cognitive reasoning skills, and that this is the crowning achievement of creation. Yeah. Um, Supposedly, because we have such advanced intelligence, humans have the ability to think and reason beyond that of our ancestors. So they say. And as I question, is this true? Maybe not. If we're such an advanced, intelligent species, then why do we believe in such things like religion when there is absolutely no evidence to support such nonsense? And it's nonsense. We'll get into that a little bit later. Why do we as a species believe in superstitions that have no foundation in reality? Why do we do one thing continually to think that it's going to continue to generate us the same result? Athletes are really superstitious. Well, most professional people are superstitious, I have found. And the richer you seem, the more superstitious it is. Um, yeah. So, are we truly intelligent? That is the question at hand. Are we really that freaking smart? Here I am. No. Let's see what the great oracle has to say about superstition. Now, I go to the old school, go to the dictionary, Webster's, etc., and it gives us a good foundation. So, superstition is defined as an irrational belief that an object, action, or circumstance not logically related to a course of events influences its outcome. Do you know the God of the Bible is a gambler? Big time. You can read throughout the Old Testament, you're going to read about the throwing of the bones, the dice. Um, and if you gamble, as an entrepreneur, you gamble all the time. I've made millions and I've lost them. It's a gamble. Life's a gamble. And so you always try to look for the omens around it, right? Well, if I wear black socks, whatever it is, it's everywhere. And it can't be merely ascribed to one particular genre because it's universal. Another definition, a belief, practice, or the irrationally maintained by ignorance. What? By ignorance of the laws of nature or by faith in magic religion or chance? Religion? Superstitious? A fearful or, get this, abject state of mind resulting from such ignorance or irrationality. Holy crapola. Well, that includes all of humanity. I mean, yeah. I mean, if you seriously, if you want to see the gods and goddesses in action, go into a casino. And folks, you suddenly realize there ain't just one god. There just ain't one goddess. It's crowded. Now, the all ignorant Wikipedia, that's what it is. But anyway, ignorant, what do you mean by that? Well, take it for what it's worth. But anyway, since they now say that that is like the living encyclopedia, I don't know about that, but anyway, it is fun to read what others write and understand this is what others have written. So the consensus seems to be a superstition is any belief or practice considered by non practitioners to be irrational or supernatural. So, by that definition, is that if you're not part of a group that's doing a thing, the ritual thing, you'd be looking at it and you're going, what are they doing? But you're not part of it. So, you're a non practitioner. And so you would define it as that it's irrational. You get into a group of people, a congregation, let's say of 5, 6, 7,000 that are all speaking in tongues. Yeah, if you're not of a non-practitioner, I'll guarantee you, you will be doing a 180 getting, what the hell did I get myself involved in? So it's irrational or supernatural. Now, we've talked about supernatural and paranormal. But all religions are, in essence, supernatural. That's why people go to church to see this supernatural. Anyway, attributed to fate or magic. I love it how they try to include magic as the woo-woo thing, that's that pseudo shit. Yeah, but they love it. Perceived supernatural influence. I've seen that in a large group setting. Oh, yeah. Um, even not so large. Or fear of that which is unknown. It is commonly applied to beliefs and practices surrounding luck, amulets, astrology, fortune telling. How about baptism of the Holy Spirit? How about believing that human beings that were once dead are risen? I mean, come on, if you're going to be fair, you can't just simply say, well, it's this fringe group. No, we learned from the mainstream. They do it, they just put it in a different package. Um, what is it that everyone in religion clings to? Prophecy. Prophecy is the main driver. And listen, this is the attitude that many have. Well, I happen to be born again. I'm spirit filled with the evidence of speaking in other tongues. I've been baptized, and therefore my name is in the book. Yours is not. And I can assure you that when I get over the other side, I'll be waving at you. That's seriously the attitude. I think it's lacking a little bit in the love part, but hey, that's never here. Fortune telling, spirits. Well, whoever wrote this, I happen to say, I'll guarantee this. I bet you're a spirit as well. And certain paranormal entities. I wonder what those would be. Ghost, poltergeist, phantasms, angels, demons. Hmm. Wow. Particularly the belief that future events can be foretold by specific unrelated prior events. Well, isn't that what the book of Revelation is? Isn't that what the book of Daniel is? I mean, I can go on and on. I can go on with a number of other books. The Quran, I mean, the Torah, I mean, it's there. The Pentateuch, I mean, it's all about freaking prophecy, right? I wish above all, brothers and sisters, that ye may prophesy and speak in tongues. We'll be talking a little bit more about that cat. Um, the word superstition is also used to refer to a religion not practiced by the majority of a given society, regardless of whether the prevailing religion contains alleged superstitions or to all religions by the anti-religious. Wow. I mean, that's pretty broad. You have to admit. Hello, Steely Dan. How are you? There I am. Mm-hmm. So, here we go. By that, and just look around you. Do you have crystals? Do you have precious metals with, say, dragons or other things? Do you have pyramids around you? Do you have, and boy, this is crystal balls? Do you gaze? That's guarantee, folks, that thing is heavy. Uh, do you scire? I mean, and do you have such collectors of crystal skulls? I mean, yeah, of course, I'm not superstitious at all. Yeah. I mean, it's amazing. And everyone I know is superstitious. Everyone. Even the ones who say they're not. All you have to do is watch them. Rituals are superstitions. You get up and you do the same thing over and over again. Yeah. And it's not just religious beliefs. I think any ideology requires superstition. Now, remember, we're supposedly technologically advanced species. In the book, The Anunnaki Connection, and I'll be finished with it here either today or tomorrow, uh, it's very evident that whoever those human beings were, if they were Homo sapien, it seems to be, maybe sapien. But one thing about it, the history books are having to be rewritten because in the modern interpretation, advanced mathematics really didn't come about until the 14th century when we saw the advent of such things as calculus. But they didn't have the tablets. And if they even did have the tablets, I don't know if they'd actually been able to read them. But what we can do today is that what we do know is that this group of human beings that existed, lived 10,000 years ago, they're smarter than every person I know. I don't know that many people who know or use calculus. And those that say they do, well, be honest to yourself above all things else, because the vast majority of people, including myself, I don't use calculus. But when you realize how freaking smart these people were, they're the ones that invented agriculture. They're the ones that tamed and conquered the god of water, rivers. They conquered that. They invented the wheel. They invented the wind sail. They've invented the windmill itself. They invented government. our government today is still a representation of their government. They learned how to read and write. They invented writing. They invented mathematics into a level today that, again, 8.5 billion people on this planet, except for a very small margin, would be considered ignorant animals to the Sumerians. Now, having said all that, the thing that's interesting is that these so-called ignorant people that were really super intelligent, they believed in this pantheon of gods, human-like super beings. Now, I wrote a note to myself here, and I thought it was so true. I myself, I've never seen a God. I was a practicing Christian for 50 years. I never saw that God. Never saw a Jesus. Um, Never saw the Holy Spirit. You know, I just never have. But yet, I had a belief that was more real than reality. I didn't need to see one. My faith subsisted me and supported me with the lack of evidence. Now, from another set of points of view, I would have been considered a really ignorant person because I am heavily indoctrinated into a superstitious belief system that there's no evidence that it ever existed, but yet, because I was part of this mainstream group, that I had the support of these other people who, let's be honest, have the same problem. They never saw God. They never saw Jesus. They never saw anything of this and supported evidence of anything of what we were taught, but yet it is as real as the air we breathe. In fact, it is written, without faith, you can't please this God. So faith requires no evidence. It merely begins to see those things that be not as though they are and call them forth. So is that a superstition? We like to be refined and say, oh, no, 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 no. We have religion, we have philosophy, we have politics, and they're partitioned. And there's separate rules for each one. That sounds like superstition to me. Even philosophy of the modern day. Anne Ryan, she was one who thought that she was one smart gal and that she had it all figured out. It's just her opinion. It's another philosophy amongst the billions of philosophies that the human mind creates. And within those philosophies, we need no evidence. We need no proof. Because our intellectualism is superior, that where we convert that which would be considered superstitious is merely supporting our theology. We have stories. We have relics. We have a history. Philosophy today really hasn't advanced all that much. We look back at the great philosophers, and that's about as far as it's gone. We're stuck into these superstitious beliefs. Politics. You're a goddamn fool if you believe any politician. Every politician is in it for themselves. They lie, they cheat, they steal, they'll sell you out. And the thing about a politician is that a politician is a lawmaker. Stuff your Old Testament in your pipe and smoke on that a little bit. In politics, like philosophy, like religion, doesn't need proof of anything. Their very thoughts and words are the substance of the evidence. And yet, if you've ever been around politicians, it does something to you, it changes you. They are hyper superstitious. But supposedly, these are intelligent people. And then you've got that other extreme, atheism, nihilism, which is really the lowest of all philosophical viewpoints on the human existence. It truly is. And those two ideologies, particularly, are heavily superstitious. And that's all you really got. There's very little else to support that. Now, everyone has their own beliefs, and then, you're welcome to all. We're just merely discussing why intelligent, so-called advanced beings revert and resort to superstitious teachings. I don't know. It's amazing how it's passed down from generation to generation. And truly, if you see something that would be considered paranormal or supernatural, the mind reverts to nonsensical thinking. Well, these people aren't normal. I don't know what normal is, and we'll do it. In my personal experience, I can remember doing my prayer walks. I used to be a runner. And so when I lived in Colorado, I'd get up really early in the morning before I met Lynn. And by 4 o'clock or 4:30, I was out running, even if it was freaking freezing cold or, elsewise. And I would use this time to meditate prayer, right? And it's amazing as I analyze it now how much of my prayer or meditation was framed around superstition, things that I was told. It's not actually in the book, but yet it's passed down. And I can say, by the evidence, it didn't do any good at all. Because in the end, every action and reaction was a result of myself and others that were involved. And I really didn't see God in any of this. I saw a lot of humans. And boy, that was a real trip. Money changes humans. Power changes humans. And then if you think about wealth, it's not really about how much money you have. That's just one aspect of it. What really wealth brings is power. Now, power is highly superstitious. You'll spend most of your time working to get to it, and you'll form rituals. And if you're fortunate enough to achieve it, now you're going to spend all your time in trying to keep it. And superstitions come in wide and fast. I recall, and I'll just share one of these things, and because I saw it in the church. This is where I really learned it from. And the one in particular person I noticed this was with Kenneth Copeland, who I contend is an occultist of a high level. And he was a strange one. If you ever got into that inner circle or close to it, yeah, I talk about superstition, baby. Oh yeah. Um, but he had this superstition that when was in preparing for um, a sermon or whatever he does in with his meetings, that he believed that there was a physical spiritual anointing that came upon him, and that he could not allow another human to touch him, or that anointing would be lost. Now, I'm not ridiculing anything. I'm just simply saying that is an example of a superstitious religious belief. And it's powerful. I mean, if that's where your head is at, you're going to follow a prescribed set of ceremonies and rituals in order to keep that, to gain access to it. It's the same thing when I've met senators, congressmen, and women, Supreme Court justices, the same thing, particularly if they're running for reelection. Superstitions all over the place. It's weird. Um, I just read Elderbeck. Yeah, you ought to be up real close. Let him lay hands on you, brother. Raise your hand if that ever happened. Yeah, absolutely. I don't talk about a lot of the deep shit because, quite frankly, you don't talk about some stuff. You just don't. And, that's where discernment and discretion comes in. But I can at least let in a little bit of it. And it's really odd because I don't know if we could exist without superstitions, nonsensical superstitions. If aliens exist, and if they're of a higher intelligence, one would assume so, right? I mean, they're figuring out how to travel the galactic causeways. Um, they really got to be looking at us. Now, maybe they're here. I don't know. But I wonder how unique we are in the universe. Are there other planets that have other humanids or other bipedals of, cognitive reasoning skills? Do they believe in magic? Do they believe in prayer? Do they believe in superstitions? Carrying a dead animal's foot, a rabbit's foot, brings luck, right? That's insane. I mean, if you think on it, one hand, it's got a lot of superstition tied to it. The least of which is that, you could say it from a philosophical point of view that, well, I'm carrying part of the animal spirit kingdom with me, and this is my spirit guide. I couldn't argue that. It's like, okay, it's good enough. I mean, if it works for you, then it does. Um, have to read some of the comments. Yeah. I love the comments. Y'all are just like really sharp, sharp people. And here's a question I have. I guess I'm going to have to go. And by the way, it is becoming really interesting how many people are spending more and more time with Chat GTP. Y'all are teaching it. You know that, right? Yeah, okay. Just wanted to make sure. Because if it's telling you shit, it didn't make it up on its own, right? It's repeating and then it's, amalgamating and conglomerating, and then all of a sudden it pours it out. But I wonder if AI is superstitious. That'd be a question. Someone should ask your Chat GDP, are you superstitious? See what it responds back. Uh, do you know why that works, Wayne? Because if you believe it, it will bring. That's why we're here to manipulate the energy. Yeah, Bonnie, listen, I have seen these things. But I didn't see a God there. I didn't see a Jesus there. I didn't see a Holy Spirit. I didn't see anything physically of any type of shape. What I did see was a psychic energy that was being transferred among other human beings. And if you begin to stimulate that part of the brain, the frontal lobe here particularly, in a sense of worship, that is dumping endorphins by the truckloads. And when you get into that wave of your brain putting out those type of waves, yeah, it's euphoric. It's spiritual. It's gives you that euphoric feeling that there's something greater than yourself. It can be all be explained. That's why if you go into a church service, they always start out by singing. Well, most of them will start with the invocation because you got to invoke the spirits in. But there is a psychological reason for all that. You start singing, and that opens the endorphin gates. And so after you've now come close to the throne of God and you're giving your hands up and with worship, you got tears coming down because God is touching you. Now we're going to fleece you because we got to do the offering now. We got to send the plate by and because it ain't free. Yeah. And then it gets you into a sedative state of mind where you're much more easily hypnotized through a sermon. I mean, I'm just speaking the science of the brain and how this works. Now, if God is in it for you, then far out, you know? But that's what's happening. Now, I don't know if that's supernatural, paranormal, or just natural, but I have seen that and witnessed it. I was a part of it more than what I ever talk about. But I'm just saying, it's what happens. And so when we look at this thing, I have a number of white papers I want to just talk to. It's interesting because we can map it in the brain what's happening. There's no God, there's no supernatural entity. It's your fucking brain. Now, what that brain is producing is another topic. Yeah, we know how physically it's going. We know which part of the brain that's being enlightened up, those synaptic pathways coming through. Yeah, we can do that. But there's this other element, and it can't be denied. So is that a result of us, or is that an outside force? And if it's an outside force that can't be seen, well, then it can be easily defined as more superstitious than supportive. Um, I have to go back. I love everyone that's reading in the comments. John said the Arabs were the ones that started the rat. Yeah, you look at all these things. But again, it is a part of us. We do this stuff, and we've done it. It seems like from almost the beginning. So I got a couple of good, because I'd like to bring the receipt someone right. It's one thing to talk what we feel and what we believe, but it's always good to bring some of the academics and seeing what others from a disciplined point of perspective, because they've thought on these things, what they've come up with. The science, and it's a science of superstition and why people believe in the unbelievable. Um, if you want to watch how, I want to choose my words carefully here. Yeah, it is what it is. If you want to watch how the energies move and how there is this degree, if you can perceive it, that these entities and beings are involved really, really deep, watch a poker game. Watch the World Series of Poker. I like watching it because it is advanced stratagems at play, and it's always fascinating to see that 1% factor, that chance, that luck. And then it's really interesting for me to watch it now because I can see a spiritual component. I found out that a couple of these players actually do rituals before they go into these tournaments. They invoke their gods or goddesses. And finally, and what I'm learning, it's more female, more goddesses than gods. The, I mean, even the Eagles sang about it. Frank Sinatra, "Luck Be a Lady," right? And when you find out that these really successful ones, because they're defining and they're defining defying the odds, they win millions of dollars. And particularly when you look at something like the WSO, you have 10,000 plus individuals coming in together. Now, could you imagine this if you could just see within your mind's eye and hover above that enclosure? Wow, we're talking we're talking serious energies here that these goddesses love to get into. And if you got the favor factor going with you, that helps. And now come to find out there are courses in psychology and others, courses in mathematical probabilities of watching these games. And now the AI programs are involved in trying to figure out this superstition. And that's what it is, this randomization, what we call luck. Yeah. This was by Neil Dagnall and Ken Drinkwater. I thought it was really kind of cool. But it says, I'll just read a little bit this to you. The number 13, black cats, breaking mirrors, or walking under ladders may all be things you actively avoid. It's true. I see it all the time. You see it all the time. If you're anything like the 25% of the people in the United States who consider themselves superstitious, and I wonder if they were just really honest, how much higher that number. Because if a person tells me they're not superstitious, I'd like to ask them, well, give me a week where I can just observe you, right? Um, for instance, how you go to work. Do you always go to work a certain way when in fact that there are other ways you could go? Why do you go the way you go? When you go into shopping, let's say to the grocery store, why is it that you repeat the same thing? Is that just something that your brain calculates for you? Or do you feel sometimes uncomfortable if you break that routine? Superstitious. Says even if you don't consider yourself a particularly superstitious person, you probably say bless you when someone sneezes, just in case the devil should decide to steal their soul, as our ancestor thought possible during a sneeze. And today it's just, normal nomenclature. Superstition also explains why many buildings do not have a 13th floor, preferring to label it 14, 14A, 12B, or M, the 13th letter of the alphabet, on elevator button panels because of concerns about superstitious tenants. Yeah, you can count the 13th floor, but I'll guarantee you this, it won't be in the buttons. Think about that one for a minute. Indeed, 13% of people in one survey indicated that staying on the 13th floor of a hotel would bother them. And 9% say that they would ask for a different room. Now, here's where the superstitions come in. Actually, 13 is a very, very lucky number. Extremely lucky. Extremely powerful in numerology. Extremely powerful in gematria. Extremely powerful in magic and incantations. Look at Taylor Swift. You think there was a reason why she had 13 tattooed on her? It's yeah. Superstition or real? But there you go. On top of it, and by the way, that goes back to the Dark Ages. You know, Jesus only had 12 disciples. Well, all right, but if Jesus and himself, then that makes the group 13, right? I'm just asking for a friend. What I know, I'm a simple man. On top of this, some airlines, such as Air France and Lufthansa, do not have a 13th row. Lufthansa also has no 17th row because in some countries, such as Italy and Brazil, the typical unlucky number is 17 and not 13. What is superstition? Although there is no single definition of superstition, it generally means a belief in supernatural forces. Oh, now we're getting into that spooky stuff. Supernatural forces, of which I happen to believe in. I'm a supernatural force. So are you. Yeah, I always have been. I think in my true nature, I'm known as a rebel, but there's many of us, and we rebel for a reason, but that's another story. Belief in supernatural forces such as fate, the desire to influence unpredictable factors, and a need to resolve uncertainty. Isn't that why everybody likes their horoscope? Tell me what my future is. Let me see the palm of your hand. And even then, the very lines themselves, they can change. What? That unpredictable factor. Again, um, it's like one person sitting at a slot machine. They know that the machine's going to pay them off. They know they're going to get it until it drains them. And they get up, and as they're walking out, someone, and I'll just say many times how I've seen it, sometimes very elderly ladies will sit in that chair and put in just a very few coins and hit the reel and hit the jackpot. What was that about? I mean, is that the odds of predictability that a person, yeah, you think about it and it'll start messing with you. Sometimes things are just what they are, right? It says in this way, then, individual beliefs and experiences drive superstitions, which explains why they are generally irrational and often define current scientific wisdom. I mean, today, if you were to see a jet up in the air, you're not going to say it's a mechanical bird. Although engineers do references as such, but yeah. No, it's a plane. You understand, even if you're not an aeronautic engineer, that you understand that how lift and descent work, high pressure, low pressure, right? I mean, very basic fundamentals part of, aero engineering. But to someone, and I can say in the Dark Ages, let's say 7th, 8th century, if they saw that very same thing, well, it's God. It's the angels. It's a demon. It's a dragon. How it works. Psychologists who have investigated what role superstition plays have found that they derive from the assumption that a connection exists between co-occurring, non-related events. So did that little lady just happen to have excess karma? Was it in her palm that she had struggled all of her life? But if she would have looked at the end of her life, she would have noticed the sign that said that sudden wealth would be coming in and that she would die wealthy. Do you have that mark? Or is this truly just randomization of atoms and molecules? For instance, the notion that charms promote good luck or protect you from bad luck. I can tell you how it works in a lot of times. A person is wearing a ring, wearing something that they normally would not have worn, and all of a sudden they have a good fortune. Immediately, the connection is going to be made in your mind. Well, did that come because I was wearing that amulet? And then, let's say you don't even buy that, and then you say, well, I'm not going to wear that. But you're going to go out and try to duplicate the result. In the back of your mind, you're not going to make it because you've already set your course. Most likely you're not going to make it. So now you come back and you're going, well, was it the amulet or whatever? Yeah. And it's odd about Goddess Fortuna because remember, she is the goddess of fortune. Fortune is defined in the dualism of our reality of both good and bad. Bad luck, if you have bad luck, you would rather have no luck at all, right? And how can bad fortune be bad? Well, it's got strings attached to it, and it always ends up bad. And it was that. And then you hear, the idioms like, the proverb that's often spoken, the sins of the fathers is visited on the sons. Yeah. For many people, engaging with superstitious behaviors provides a sense of control and reduces anxiety. Do you not know that ye are gods? If you're gods, the thing is, in training down here, you're supposed to be training enough that when you make the transition, you're going to be able to control not everything, but you're going to be able to control your sphere. It certainly makes and reduces the anxiety, right? Yeah. Just like if you've been working for a promotion and you know the promotion is up and you're in the running and you know who else is competing for it. Do you just simply allow the choice of whatever executive? You're just going to let that go and say, well, if it's meant to be, it will be. I mean, that's a perfectly logical route to take. However, if you know the very basics of sales psychology, and I taught it, people can be influenced. You know that people can be influenced and you don't have to be in their energy field. You don't have to be physically in their presence. And I was taught that I could approach God because I had favor. I was a tither. That gave me an advantage to everyone else. And so God's going to play favorites with me. Screw those others. And you get the promotion. It's more real than what I just said, isn't it? And if you could do that, and if you had a spell, an incantation, an evocation of a spirit, and said, I send you on the mission to set my name to so and so. And whenever they think about this position, they're going to think of my name. They're going to see my face. You don't think that works? Hmm. for many people, which is why levels of superstition increase at times of stress and angst. Yeah. Meditation is a good anti-stress thing on that, and it gets better results too. This is particularly the case during times of economic crisis and social uncertainty, notably wars. And think about that one in conflicts. Indeed, researchers have observed how in Germany between 1918 and 1940, measures of economic threat correlated directly with measures of superstition. Touch of wood. Superstitious beliefs have been shown to help promote a positive mental attitude. Well, I love this. I mean, at least we got a positive side to this. Although they can lead to irrational decisions, such as trusting in the merits of good luck and destiny rather than sound decision making. Well, I just want to add a little commentary here. I mean, so you're a CEO. You've got this deal sitting before you, but your gut is telling you something not right about this. But you have those other individuals around you influencing, trying their best to influence your decision. What do? How do you go to find the answer? You're just going to roll the dice and say, well, that's just as good as any? Are you going to go into deep meditation? Are you going to go into the analytic phase and begin to? No. The smartest thing that you could do, and so few don't, is gone with that intuition. Now, to go with your intuition would be counter to what you would be perceived as good for everyone else. Superstitious or not? And then add your own situation. All of you have been in similar situations, not necessarily that, but we've all faced them. So let's be honest. How many of you right now have in your general vicinity, on your physical body or near you, amulets, charms, and do you carry them? So carrying charms, wearing certain clothes, visiting places associated with good fortune, preferring specific colors, and using particular numbers are all elements of superstition. And although these behaviors and actions can appear trivial, for some people, they can often affect choices made in the real world. And then that gets into that debate as to then, well, what exactly is the real world and what is the real world made of? From my perspective of 70 years, I am convinced that the real world is more magical than what any of us have been taught. We've been taught not to see it as magic. You've been taught, well, you look at it like logic, Steiger, you got 1 + 1 that equals. No. And although I've never seen a God, I've seen the impacts of them. I have felt the effect of them. But then that would be subjective then, and to some points of view, very superstitious. Superstition can also give rise to the notion that objects and places are cursed, such as the Annabelle doll, featuring in The Conjuring and the other 2 movies. How about this one? It is said that if you go to Hawaii, do not pick up any rocks of such nature and bring them back with you. They'd bring bad luck. Bad things happen to people. And check me out on this. Every year they get over there boxes fulls of rocks of people sending them back because and if you've ever been to Hawaii, that and particularly in the Big Island, you can feel those. They're real. They're. I don't know if they're associated with Pele, but I can tell you, we went to uh, Lynn and I got married in Hawaii, and we went to one of the ritual sites of the native Hawaiians, and which is Polynesian in nature. And when we entered in, Lynn said, she said, I don't feel really comfortable. And so she kind of hung out there. I went through it. And when you look at those gods and the goddesses there, they're alive. Superstition? All right, maybe for some, but for me, it did not sense that. Um, and it is said to be inhabited by the spirit of the dead girl. Yeah. And how about the doll Robert? That's another one. A more traditional illustration is the curse of the pharaohs, which said to be cast upon any person who disturbs the mummy of an ancient Egyptian person, especially a pharaoh. I kind of believe this stuff. I mean, the Egyptians were into some deep magic. Remember, the legend of Moses is that Moshe, stands for magi, which stands for magician. And I love thinking on the story. I don't know if the narrative is true or not, but it provides for a good story. So I'm thinking about this cat name, whatever the hell his name was, right? And he's in the Pharaoh court. He's got the Pharaoh's favor, and the Pharaoh's son. They're at the same age, so they're much alike as often teenagers are, and it's not until young adulthood that they separated. But they were being taught things that we would say, well, that's a superstition. Yeah, maybe. Remember, I don't know if they built the pyramids, but they have the deed for it, right? Don't know. Um, Numbers themselves can often be associated with curses. For example, the figure 666 in a license plate is often featured in the stories of misfortune. The most famous case was the number plate ARK66Y, which is believed to have caused mysterious vehicle fires and bad vibes for passengers. Was the car named Christine? Sporting superstitions, that's one. Superstitions are also highly prevalent in sports, especially in highly competitive situations. 4 out of 5 professional athletes report engaging with at least one superstitious behavior prior to performance. Then, at some point you got to say, well, is it really superstition or is this like there's some substance behind this? I think there's substance. Yeah, within sport, superstitions have been shown to reduce tension and provide a sense of control over unpredictable chance of factors. Like the one guy on one of the World Series, I don't know if it was Kansas City or one of the teams, but you know, didn't change his jock strap, right? Now they won, so did really the outcome of the game because he wore a dirty jockstrap? Is that going to? I mean, come on. It's like the whole thing with the prayer thing, asking God for money or giving you a special position when other people don't have that. I mean, it's kind of crazy when you think about it. And so you learn to do, well, let me just see, what can I do to make favor with this? Maybe that's going to give, an ear. It's like, and then if you do say you pray and you got a prayer answered, right? Uh, Try to do the calculations of how many different things had to be changed or going in your direction in order for that to have happened. Um, Superstitions practices tends to vary across sports, but there are similarities within football, gymnastics, athletes, for example. Competitors reported praying for success. That's always got me. So you got two teams. And so each team has its, let's say, same religious beliefs or people on that. And so you got this team on its knees praying, God, let us win, let us kick their ass. And you got the other side saying, God, let us win, let us kick their ass. I mean, first of all, you got to ask yourself, well, what kind of God would do that? But anyway, I digress. Um, Checking the appearance in mirror and dressing well to feel better prepared. Players and athletes also engage with personalized actions and behaviors such as wearing lucky clothes, kits, and charms, or having them tattooed on them. Famous sports people often display superstitious behavior. Notably, basketball legend Michael Jordan concealed his lucky North Carolina shorts under his Chicago Bulls team kit. Well, I would rather have that than a jockstrap, but all right. Similarly, the tennis legend Bjorn Borg reportedly wore the same brand of shirt when preparing for Wimbledon. Rafael Nadal has an array of rituals that he performs each time he plays. This includes a manner in which he places his water bottles and taking freezing cold showers. Nadal believes these rituals help him to find focus, flow, and perform well. Wow, I'm seeing I'm going a little bit over. That's cool. Walking under ladders. What all this shows is that superstitions can provide reassurance and can help to reduce anxiety in some people. But while this may well be true, research has shown that actions associated with superstition can also become self reinforcing. And in that, the behavior develops into a habit, and failure to perform the ritual can actually result in anxiety. Even this is even though the actual outcome of an event or situation is still dependent on known factors rather than unknown supernatural forces. A notion consistent with the often quoted maxim, the harder you work or practice, the luckier you get. So is luck predicated upon experience, repetition? I don't know. The next time you break a mirror, see a black cat, or encounter the number 13, don't worry too much about bad luck. It's actually most likely just a trick of your mind. If I see a black cat, I'm going to feed them. Poor guys. Anyway, I didn't even get to the other papers, but yeah, I think we got it pretty well. So, in conclusion of my own question, how can such intelligent people believe in such nonsensical superstitions? Because it's a part of us. Another dimension, another aspect of the ether would seem illogical, nonsensical to an earthly mind. As I said yesterday with the ladies, seriously, if I was to see an Anunnaki, I don't think I'd be real self-assured about my position. I would like to have, my 45, maybe, 357, hollow point, explosive tip. Then I might feel, but then again, they may have technology that says, yeah, go ahead and shoot that thing, see what it does. Hey, skies above. Thank you, darling. Appreciate that. So, well, thank you. My wife bought it. Yes, it's there we go. But actually, she said you'd look good in it. And I said, okay, I'll wear it. So there we go. I hope you found this fun. Because again, my conclusion is that yeah, we are superstitious and it is nonsensical. But that's what makes it great. You know, the very sense that it's nonsensical makes sense of it. And if superstitious actions somehow are not of the norm, I'm right up for that. you know, my whole life I've been called anything but normal. So, and what it really comes down to, the final analysis, it's your faith. It's whatever you have faith in. I hope you have faith in yourself more than anything else. Because in reality, you are the only one that counts. Now, while you're here, you have an opportunity to get into the pool and, everyone's having a good time. But yeah, faith is a very vital, important thing, and it's not connected to religion. It's not connected to politics. It's not connected to philosophy. You have to have faith for any three of those to work. So have faith in yourself. That's the first thing. And then grow it. So there we go. Stephanie Marie, thank you, darling. Norma, how are you? Uh, well, well, you see, there you go. She's always catching at the end. Well, when they do the time change, you know, be an hour difference, right? Yeah, and that again, why do we do that? Well, it's because it's tradition, Wayne. It's always been no, 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 no. Hey, Lauren, thank you. I appreciate that, sweetie. Um, so anyway, Monkey Experience says there is no money magic if you own the printer. Did you get one of those money printing machines? That's the one thing I found about Doge, that there was like 14 of these things. Damn, I mean, let us just rent one for an hour, We could really do a lot of good on that one. As John says, be excellent to one another. That's the best way to do that. Soul searching, how are you, brother? It is good. It's just as I believe in myself and the love. Yeah, in me. That's it. You got the power. Boom, 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 boom. How many of you been on the dance floor with that song coming out? Mm-hmm. Be honest. All right. All right. Hope to see the with Cindy and Mike tomorrow with Evolutionary Energy Arts. And keep your superstitions strong. Keep your amulets and charms charged up, and wear them or show them with pride. There you go. It's the best way to do it. And it works. If you believe it works, it's going to work. It's just that simple. Yeah. So, I mean, it really is true. If you walk into a place expecting to win, no stopping you're going to win. And even if you lose, what I have found is that even within my loss, I won. Yeah. Crazy, isn't it? So anyway, till we see each other tomorrow, have yourself a great day. I appreciate all of you. Thank you for hitting the like button and etc. And if you're seeing this on replay, make sure to leave a comment. The machine, the algorithm, the more comments that are left, apparently it goes up. Whatever. That's all I got to say. All right, folks, until we meet together again, which I believe is Thursday, have the rest of a great day. It is a beautiful day. Whatever your superstition may be. All right. Peace, everyone.